Well, this is Bobby from Copal TV Repair with a remake video that I just made. It took 10 minutes with a lot of explanations, and I'm trying to cut it down and get to the chase. This is about power supply board BN44-00342B, used in a number of 55-inch Samsung LCD TVs. The symptom that we had in the TV that this board comes out of is that it starts, it plays the startup sound, it's configured so, it stays on, but there is absolutely nothing on the screen. It's totally, there is no backlight. And these are the high frequency transformers which produce the high voltage, the ballast for the CCFL lamps in the backlight. Apparently it doesn't work, and the reason I make this video is because the reason and the fix is actually pretty simple. I believe, I haven't done it yet, but I believe I found out what the problem is. Anyhow, you shouldn't be spending $90 or more for fixing something that may take a minute or two, and it's fairly easy to implement as long as you know what it is. There is something called power factor correction circuit, which is activated once the power supply board is told to activate. It takes the already rectified mains voltage that comes from here, gets rectified from this rectifier on the side to 165 volts, and the power factor correction takes that, and along with something else, which is the power factor correction, actually doubles that, raising it to nearly 390 volts. This is the reason why those two capacitors are 450 volts each. In a normally working power supply in a TV, when the TV is operational, the voltage overdose is about $380–390 volts. The reason this power board does not produce backlight image is because the PFC correction does not work. The PFC circuit correction may not work for a number of reasons, and you shouldn't think that every time it doesn't work, this is why. But basically what needs to happen is you can power on the board without load. It's currently not connected to the TV. If it's connected to the main board, this test will not look the exact same way. You will need to turn on the TV in order to get what I will be getting. What I'm doing here is I'm just hooking up the voltmeter to the mains filter capacitor. And the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to power on the board, and what we will see is first, for a brief moment, the voltage on those two capacitors are in parallel. The voltage on them will be, for a brief moment, 170 volts, and then it will jump to 390. Actually, on this board, it will not. On a good working board, it should jump to 390. On this one, it just stays 170, 168, 170, that's fine. A few volts don't make a difference. On a working board, you should be raising up to 390. Again, in order to run that test, you should disconnect the rest. This allows the board to automatically turn itself on. Otherwise, if it's connected to the main board, you will have to manually turn on the TV in order for this voltage to change from 180 or from 170 up to 390. Now, the reason this is not jumping up, in this case, there may be others, is that, let me switch that here, there is a diode in the circuit which is shorted. That is the diode here, and you find that it's shorted by just measuring it. You can hear zero resistance, and you can hear the typical beep of shortage. That's what it is. And if you take a good working board, wait a second, that is a different board. And on a good working board, which does raise to 300 and, okay, the diode was down before, so let's put it back down. This is how it's got to be in one direction. It should be infinite resistance, and if we put negative electrode to the cathode, like this. It just has a typical diode resistance, 440 ohms in one direction and infinite in the other. That's a typical diode for you. Now I don't know yet what the diode is, but I've seen similar failures in other power supply boards. I believe this will be the only bad thing on the board. Sometimes it may not be. I will look additionally. I will post the type of the diode and a link for where you can get a replacement. But most likely this is all that needs to be fixed on that board. A couple of dollars versus $90, a whole lot better. And I managed to make that video in only 5 minutes instead of 10. Lucky you. Good luck and happy repairing. This is the second part of the video, which was done after I already made the replacement. This is the diode that I pulled out of the board. It is MUR, give me a second, I'm going to read it off my screen. MUR460. You probably won't be able to see it so well here. MUR460. That is a 4 amp 600 high ultra fast rectifier, and a number of different diodes can be used in its place. I did not have a 4 or higher amps in this package. I had one that is 220, TO220, and so I made this little drill and attach it to the heat sinks, cut out and out, just connected properly with insulation. In the meantime, I also found another problem on the board, totally by chance. This capacitor, which is CP820, this one, was busted, and it looks like this. It's already out of the board. This is how it was looking on one side, clearly busted. The value of that is 220 picofarads at 1 kilovolt. I replaced it with 220 at 2 kilovolts. I'm going to make a link for a do-it-yourself repair kit. Of course, in a failure on another board, there may be other busted components. For all that I know, there may be others here too. I didn't see that one at the first glance, and it's reasonably far from here. It may have been the reason why that overloaded when that busted. I don't know which was first, which was second. So far, the board I tested is raising 390. I'd expect it to be working fine when I put it in the TV. If it doesn't, I will probably make a third part to this video showing what else did I find, but I think this will be all. Thanks again, and good luck.